Hello, grade 7. Welcome to another lesson. Today is Friday. Time really flies when we are staying at home, right? But without further ado, let's get on with today's lesson. Yesterday, we learned about converting mixed numbers into improper fractions and improper fractions back into mixed numbers. Today, we're going to learn about converting decimal into fraction. Now, most numbers, I say most because not all numbers can be written as a fraction. In fact, all rational numbers can be written as a fraction. If you don't know what the meaning of rational number is, it doesn't matter because you don't need to know it right now. Now, there is a rather simple way of converting from decimal to fraction depending on the place value of the decimal. Now, some common decimals can be easily converted into fraction. For example, 0.5 is the same as half. That's a very simple one. Most people know this. 0.25 is also a quarter. Most people know this. And then we also have 0.2 is the same as 1 over 5 or 1/5. Most people know this as well. We don't need to calculate anything. It is just something that we generally know. But before we go into how to actually convert other decimals, I want us to note down a few things. So a few things to keep in mind when we say 1/10. Okay, for example, some question says round your answer to the nearest tenth. That means there is one decimal. It is just the first decimal place. It's the 10th place in the place value. So usually we say 1/10 is 0.1, and we can write this as 1 over 10 because that is 1/10. And then we also have 1/100th. That is 0.01. It can be written as 1 over 100. And then lastly, 1,000 is 0.001, and that can be written as 1 over 1,000. So these are just a few things to keep in mind. Remember this because when it comes to converting decimal, it may be some rather useful. Okay, now I have 4 examples in example 1, A, B, C, and D, to convert these decimals into fraction. So let's go straight into example 1. Example 1, converting decimal to fraction. So we have 4 parts. A, 0.8. B, let me do A first. So A is 0.8. How do I convert 0.8 to a fraction? Remember, this is our place value. And which place value is this? This is in fact the same as 10th place. But instead of 0.1, it is now 0.8. So depending on the number of values, this is only the 10th. So we will write this as the top number will be written as the top. We'll go to the top, 8. And then the bottom, if it's 10th place, we write down over 10. So that's how we write this decimal. So 0.8 will be 8 over 10 in a fraction. Now, the second step, step 2, is we have to simplify the fraction. So 8 over 10 8 and 10 have a common factor of 2. So I can now simplify this. 8 over 10 is the same as 4 over 5. And so this is written as 4 over 5. Okay, so that's part A. Now for part B, you'll see that I'm doing this in a trend, 0.36. This time, there are 2 decimal place. So it will be the smallest place value, unit place, is the place value is the 100th place. Or another way to count, it is 1 decimal place, 2 decimal place. And so what we do is we will again write this top number, write the number after the decimal into the top. So this is equal to 36, and then the bottom is going to be that 100th place, or 2 zeros. So you see here there's 1, there's 2. I can write 2 zeros down here, so it will be the same 1, 2 there. So that's how we convert a decimal into fraction. Now we've done step 1. Step 2 is simplify again. 36 and 100. How do we simplify? I can just keep dividing by 2 to both of them. So 36 is the same as, after dividing 2 is 18. The bottom becomes 50. They still are both even numbers, so I can further divide by 2. That's 9, and that's 25. So 0.36 is 9 over 25. Okay, so that's how we do 2 decimal places. Now let's do a third example. Let's convert 0.608 to a decimal, and we still do the same thing. The number after the decimal, 608, will be directly copied to the top. So I'm going to write 608 at the top. And since we have 1, 2, 3 decimal places, I'm going to write 1,000. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. That's how many zeros I'm going to write after the 1 at the bottom. And so we have 608 divided by 1,000. I can simplify this. How to simplify? Well, they're both even numbers, so half of 608 is going to be 304 over 500, and I can further divide. 304 is 152 over 250. Can I further divide by 2? Yes, I can. That's going to be 126 over 200. Sorry, not 126. That's going to be 76 over 125. And I think that is it. There shouldn't be any more. No, yeah, that's it. So that is our overall fraction. So that is equal to 76 over 125. Okay, that's C. And last one, this one may be a little bit more confusing. D will be 0.0025. How do we convert this into a fraction? Now, we still do the same thing. We look at this number, the number after the decimal. Now, writing 0025 is actually the same as just writing 25. So I can write this as, when we convert it to fraction, 0025 is the same as 25 at the top. But the bottom, we still count the same number of decimal places after the decimal. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. So when I write my number at the bottom, I'm going to write 1, and then I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4 zeros at the bottom. and then we simplify this number. 25 divided by 10,000, well, both of them are divisible by 5, so if I divide the top by 5, it's going to be 5, and if I divide 10,000 by 5, we're going to have 2,000. 2,000. And then 5 and 2,000 can be further simplified. This becomes 1, and then 2,000 divided by 5 will be 400. So we have 1 over 400. So this is 1 over 400. Okay, so all of them should be, you can use the same steps. Step 1 is to copy the number after the decimal into the numerator, and then step 2 is you put 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, 100,000, depending on how many decimal places or the smallest place value of that decimal, you put that at the denominator, and then you simplify the fraction. So this is example 1. Now, example 2, we're going to do example 1, and we're going to add in mixed numbers as well. Now, if you notice, all 4 of these numbers are less than 1 because they are 0 point. So what happens if we have numbers? What happens to numbers greater than 1? So for example, if I have 1.5, if I have 2.5, if I have 3.36, if I have 6.608, or so on, how do I write those numbers as a fraction or a mixed number? Well, that goes into our example 2. So, example 2. This will be converting decimal to mixed numbers. Now let's look at this this way. For question A, we have 10.5. Now 10.5, I can actually write this as the same as 10 plus 0.5. And I already know that 0.5 as a decimal, this is the same as half. And so I can write this as 10 plus half. And if we remember from last lesson, a mixed number is a whole part plus a decimal part. Sorry, not a decimal part, a fraction part. And so 10 plus half is actually just written as 10 and a half in mixed fraction. It is as simple as that. So what we have to do is we have to, 1, split the number into whole number plus decimal. Okay, we split it into the whole number plus the decimal in terms of 0 point something. So let's look at, and then 2 is we convert the decimal into fraction. And then 3, we put it together. Put it together as a mixed number. Okay, so that's how we convert a decimal into a mixed number that is bigger than 1. Now, let's look at another example. B, we have 3.25. So 3.25 can be written as 3 plus 0.25. Hey, this is rather simple. 0.25, I know that it is the same as 1/4. So this is 3 plus 1 over 4. And then what I can do is I can write this as 3 and 1/4. That's done. Okay. Last one, I'm going to have C. This is the same as, C is 5.05. 0.004. Now you will notice that there are zeros here. What do we do? Do you panic? No, you don't. We still do the same thing. We split it into the whole number part plus the decimal number part. We have to copy all of this over here. And that's the same as 0.004. How many zeros here? You copy how many zeros there. There's 2 zeros. And so here, there's also 2 zeros. Make sure you copy all the zeros. Don't miss out any, or else you're going to write the wrong fraction. Then step 2, convert the decimal into fraction. We've done this before. And so 0.004, you can kind of do some small working out here. 0.004 is equal to 4 over 1,000. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 3 decimal places. Then you put 1, 2, 3 zeros after your 1 over there. Okay, so for converting decimal to fraction, you count to the smallest place value, which is that 4 over here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you simplify it. 4 over 1,000 is the same as 1 over 250. You just divide it by 2 and then divide it by 2 again. So you can now go back to here. That is the same as 5 plus 1 over 250, and then you can put it together. That is 5 and 1 250th. So that is the converting decimal into mixed numbers. And that's it for today's lesson. I'm going to set you the homework now. Well done for those of you who have been handing the homework in correctly. A lot of you are doing it really well. I can see very good work. Some of you are showing work. I want you to show all your work. And you will notice by now that I have marked most of your work. I have given you comments. If you see a star check comment, that means I want you to check my comment. I may have made some comments in your work asking you to correct something. Please check it. Don't just hand in the work and not look at it again. I will tick it. I will give you a mark out of 5, and then sometimes I will write a comment if I spot any mistakes that you have made. Okay, so today's homework. I'm sure you have all been waiting for this. I'm not going to do any problem solving questions today. There's a lot of questions for you to do. So this is going to be exercise 5.7, and please do questions 3 to 43 odd questions. Odd questions. So that means you do 3, 5, 7, 9, and so on all the way to 41, 43. Okay? So that's around 20 something questions. Shouldn't be too much, but most of this is actually practicing converting from decimal to mixed numbers, decimal to fraction, and sometimes other way around, do some algebra. If you have any questions, make sure you do ask in the collaboration space. I will check those. And that's it for today. See you all next week on Monday for another lesson.